Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on these gorgeous little earrings that you see right here. Oh, very exciting. Colour combination was chosen by the lovely Kim V during one of our live antics on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, that is. Now we have two lives a week, one on Wednesday at 4 p.m. in the afternoons and one on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. and that's once again Melbourne, Australia time. The Saturday mornings live, one lucky subscriber gets to choose the colour combination of our very next tutorial, and the lovely Kim V was our lucky subscriber this week. And I want to thank Kim for her beautiful colours of the dark pink and the light pink cotton. All right, so what will you need? So what we're going to do is start with, firstly, the size of our earring. Now this particular earring is, and I'll get a nice close-up for you, so you'll need a measurement tape for this part, or measuring tape I should say, and it's 6 centimetres or 2.34 inches, something like that, yeah? So 6 centimetres is the size we're using today. Make sure that's the size you have, otherwise your pattern is not going to work. I do have larger earrings, which we will be doing at some stage within the next 2 weeks as well. But for now, these are the smallest that we have so far. All right, so as you can see, I've already done one. The cotton I used today and still am using is cotton blush. No, that's not true. I'm using a really thick yarn today so that you can see the stitches, but this is the cotton I used for this piece, which you will need. You will need a 4-ply cotton or a 2-weight cotton or a thin cotton. Now it does call for a 3-point-millimeter hook, from which you will be using today. Now I did start with a 2.5, but it was way too tight, so I went up to a 3mm, which it actually calls for that anyway, so there you go. Today I'm going to be using this one just because I'm using a thicker yarn, but for you, use a 3mm hook with a 4-ply or a 2-weight or a lightweight overseas. Not a DK weight, it's smaller than a DK weight, and it's smaller than a 3-weight yarn, all right? So make sure it's a 2-weight yarn or a 4-ply, all right? I'm using 1 row in the dark pink and 1, 2, and the 3rd row hooks onto the earring in the light pink, all right? Very, very minimal. You will need very, very minimal, I don't know, 1 gram, 2 grams, something like that. It's a great way for stash busting, yeah? You will need 1 stitch marker, you will need a pair of scissors, and you will need a sewing weaving needle. You need to weave in your ends really well with this because they are earrings. They may accidentally turn around and flip and flop, and you want to make sure all your tails are completely hidden. You can't even tell that there were tails in this piece. How about that? All right, so that's that. All right, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you get started creating your gorgeous earrings. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, you are going to start off with creating this tiny little piece here. Let's pop it out the way. Now grab your pink. Yeah, where is it? Okay, so grab your pink, your dark pink. Don't use the red like I'm using unless you want to use red, that's fine. But grab your dark pink and just pop it in front, the tail end in front like that. We're going to form a magic loop or a magic circle or magic ring, whatever you want to call it. So grab 2 fingers, wrapping your thread around your fingers and forming a little X, if you will. Grab your hook. Pop it under your loop, the front loop, grab that back loop, bring it up and forward. What you have is 1, 2, and then these 2 strands here. Popping your fingers around the whole lot. It is a little fiddly, but it's the only way to do earrings, yeah? All right, so if you do it with the space in the middle, it's not too bad, but I find this way a lot better for, closing it up, yeah? So now you're going to chain 3, and a chain is yarn over your hook, pull a loop through to the loop on your hook once, twice, and 3 times. In that big space, try not to move it, you're going to put a double crochet, and a double crochet is yarn over your hook, straight into the space, holding everything, pull a loop through, you have 3 loops on your hook. It's a little awkward. Yarn over, pull through 2. This is just the first stitch that's awkward. It'll sort itself out in a minute. You have 2 loops there. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, so give your tail a gentle tug, not too much. And also, just lift your loop for a minute. Grab your stitch marker. All right, let me get you a close-up of what we just did. That stitch there is what we just did, and you can see the 2 top loops right there. Yeah, so grab your stitch marker and put them in the 2 top loops next to him, right next door to the guy. Okay, this is your man and this is the guy next door, his next door neighbor. So pop your stitch marker in there, pop your hook back in your loop, and continue putting double crochets in this space. We need 10 altogether, so we need to do another 8. This chain 3 here will act as a double crochet, so that's 1, 2, yarn over your hook into the space, pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and that's your 3rd one, yeah? And that's what I want you to do, continue in that manner until you have 10 double crochets. So off we go. And that is your 4th one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if you've done 10 or 9 or 8 and you can't remember how many you did, well, you count these little V's that you see right here. See that little V looking thing? That one there is 1, yeah? Then you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and your last stitch with your loop is 10. All right. Actually, you don't need to put your hook back in there. Make yourself a nice big loop, yeah? Hold your work with your hand, grab your tail and just pull it shut real tight and your center will close, yeah? If it doesn't close, then you've forgotten to crochet over it or keep it close when you are crocheting, yeah? So now what I want you to do is slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker, all right? So that's where the stitch is. Pop your hook in the stitch, yeah? Grab a loop and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Let's take out our stitch marker for a minute. Yeah. So you've got that so far. Now all I want you to do is tighten it up a little bit, pull a loop through or pull up a loop if you will. Get your scissors and cut your thread. What you should have is that in pink. Exactly what you see here, that in pink. So if I did that for you online, you wouldn't be able to see it, all right? So now your job is to change colours, all right? So grabbing your very next colour, which is your light pink, which I actually have some light pink here, so that's a good thing. All right, so mine was a little tiny bit tangled, but that's okay. All right, so let's get a nice close-up so I can show you what or where you can start. See this little tail that we have here? It's better for you to actually start on an end where there's no tail. So see a little stitch, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you find it necessary to start where the tail is, that's fine, but I'm going to pop my hook into the little V, the stitch. You've got 2 loops on top and your little post, that long tall thing there's a post down the bottom. Yep. Pop your, let's bring this out. Pop your little thread and pop it over your hook like so. And just pull it through to your stitch. Yep. Grab your tail, passing it forward a minute because we're going to lock that into place. Chain 1, tighten it up a little, and 2. Hold it there, grab your stitch marker and pop it in the top 2 loops of that chain that you just completed. All right, so now what we're going to do this round here, we're going to be putting half double crochets, or I should say half trebles in the UK terminology and half doubles in the US terminology. I forgot to mention that these stitches in this round here were double crochet in the US terminology and treble in the UK terminology. I did actually leave a little disclaimer up the top, so there we go. Let's try our half double now, or half treble in the UK. Yarn over your hook, you're going straight back into the same stitch you are in, pulling a loop through like so. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and you're pulling through all 3 loops, and that is a half double. Your chain 2 here will act as a half double, so you've done 2 in the 1 stitch. Pop your tail at the back. No, actually I'm going to crochet over that tail a little bit more for now, and then we're going to weave it in as well, so don't think that's the end of it, yeah? So yarn over your hook. In the very next stitch you're going to do 2 half double crochets, or 2 half trebles in the UK terminology. So pop your hook in the stitch, and that's the little V that we were talking about before, yeah? Pull a loop through, yarn over your hook, pull through all 3 loops on your hook once. Yarn over your hook, do it again. Exactly the same. 2. All right, so 2 in there, 2 in there, and now you're going to do 2 all the way across, and off we go doing 2. I'm not crocheting over the tail anymore. Off we go doing 2 half double crochets all the way across. We are going to weave that tail in as well, yeah? So 2 all the way across. Take that undone, that didn't work very well. One and 2. When you get to the stitch, you can see the little V right before your knot. If you want, you can do this. If not, just leave it. You're going to weave it in as well. Grab the tail at the back of your hand. Do your half double crochet into the next stitch, but you are crocheting over your tail once and again twice in the same stitch. Then what you have is all of this, yeah? I would jump straight into the stitch that you've slip stitched into, like that there, with a half double crochet and a second half double crochet. Then in your very next stitch, you're doing half double crochet and a second half double crochet. All right. So what you did there was you just crocheted over your tail. I hope that helped. Now you're doing 2 half doubles in the rest of them all the way across. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1. Oh, that didn't work. Keep going. Don't mind me. 1 and 2. Now that was the last stitch. All right. I'll show you a nice close-up so you can have a look. What you have is that. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets of 2 half double crochets, yeah? Make sure you have your 10. All right, now you're going to slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. So it might be a little tight. If you've done your chain tight like me, it might be a little tight. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. All right, so once you pop that in there like that, this is going to be the final round now before you attach it to the earring. So from here you are slip stitching in between the chain 2 that you just slip stitched into and your half double. So slip stitch right into the space, pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Now you are chaining 1. In the same space, you're putting a single crochet US terminology or double crochet UK terminology. And that is hook into the space, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, grab your stitch marker right there. Now you're chaining 3. 1, 2 and 3. And in that same space that you are in, you're doing another single crochet US, double crochet UK. Into the space, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Now, you're going to jump into every V-stitch with that stitch that we just did. But before you do, you're going to chain 1 at the end of each set, right? So you've chained 1, you're going to find your next 2 half doubles and find the center space in between the 2 half doubles. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 with a single crochet US and a double UK. Now you're chaining 1, 2 and 3, single back in there. All right, chain 1. So chain 1 to jump into your next space, and when you're into the next space you put a single crochet, chain 1, 2, 3 and a single crochet, chain 1, and what you are forming is that 1, 2, 3 little picots, and chain 1s in between each little picots. We'll call them picots, but they're not exactly the same as a picot, yeah? Now we're going to continue. I was going to send you off on your own, but it actually changes around here somewhere, okay? So let's just keep going. We've chained our 1. Let's hop into the very next half double crochet space with single crochet, chain 1, 2, 3, single crochet, and that's our 4th picot. Chain 1, go into the 5th space, 5 space, chain 1, 2, 3 and straight back into the 5th space, chain 1 and right into the 6th space, 1, 2, 3, back in there with a single, chain 1, oops, I nearly did a double there, single into the space, chain 1, 2, 3, single right back into the space, and we need 1 V-stitch, 2 V-stitches, and they're kind of like V-stitches, they're half doubles, yeah? We need 1, 2 and 3 left, so that's where you should be right now. You might find that yours is really tight and you won't be able to see what's happening next, but what you need to do here is single into your first stitch, 1, first stitch you see, single into the next, 2, single into the next, 3, 4 and 5. You may have 5, that's okay. You can actually slip stitch if you have 5. If you've got 6, then do the 6. Now the reason I say that is because on my piece I had 5 because it was really hard to see that next single crochet and I may have missed it. But if you've got 6 or 5, it doesn't matter because it still looks good in the 5 and it will still look okay in 6. All right, so either way is fine. All right, from here, you're going to slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker, pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. From here, you're going to chain 1 and pull up a loop like that. Let's take out the stitch marker for starters and let's pop it in the actual loop that we created. The only reason is because when we give this a tug, it might come undone, all right? And we might end up giving it a tug because I've split the yarn. I'm wondering why it's not working for me. Hello. In the loop, Mary, get it right. The only reason is because I would like for you to flip your work and weave in all these ends before we continue, because now we're going to attach our piece to our earring. Now that's no good for this one because that's the thickest. Let me show you the original. The original looks like that. That's where we are at the moment. Now, hang on a minute. No, let's try it that way. Oh, no, right the first time. That's where we are at the moment. It's exactly what you've got here. This is just a larger piece so that you can see the stitches online because I found it really awkward. So what I want you to do, let's pretend that we're using this piece. So grab your sewing, darning, weaving needle and you want to firstly sew that very center stitch. So thread your needle. Now it might take a while for you because your thread is thin, like it did with me when I did it. All right, so threading your needle, this is the center pull that we did earlier. Don't assume because you've crocheted over it that this is not going to come undone. Wrong. It can come undone, and it has many times before. So your job now is to pop your needle through all the tight stitches, just this way. Have a look in the front, make sure you can't see the needle. Yeah, so pull your loop through like that. Continue to go in through stitches in the round. Check your front. And then one more. Why? Because I'm a stickler. Yeah. But guess what? That's not enough. No. You are now turning the opposite way and going back the way you came, but skipping a little stitch. So splitting a stitch to go back the way you came. Otherwise, you'll unravel what you did. Check the front always. Make sure you can't see that thread, which is good. It's not visible. One more time. There. Can't see the needle? Nope. Good. And that is that. All right. So that's what I want you to do for the center. And you have to do the same for these pieces of threads here. I might bring it out a little bit because I come out of frame sometimes when I'm weaving in ends. It's one of those things. Let me grab the red, assuming you've got dark pink. Yeah. If you use the same colors as Kim, then you will be using the dark pink. And we are going to, it is far away. We are going to slip stitch. Remember, we crocheted over this tail. If you haven't, then that's good. But if you're anything like us, we've crocheted over it. So what you want to do is just split that light pink a little tiny bit where you can't see. Go through some of the stitches inside your stitch there. And that's where we are. Just pulling that through. Like so. Just pick up some red, let's try dark pink, and pulling it through into the next stitch. The reason is your piece will be tiny and you need to go through a few stitches before your thread is hidden. Yeah. So you've gone through 2 sets, you're going to go back through those sets in a different section. I've split some of that yarn and go through both the sets. If it helps to go through one set first and then the second, that's all right. I've just pushed mine through both sides. I might take that out because I can see the needle. And there you go, pulling it through the back. Oh. And then what I want you to do is get your scissors. Make sure when you cut your piece, you cut it close, but not too close where you cut your piece of work. And you can still see the thread sticking out. So if you give it a tug, it hides into place. We're going to do one more real fast because you know what you're doing now. And then we will attach our piece, yeah? All right, so where are we here? Once again, we're in an area where this is going to need to go through 2 sections. Now, we've crocheted over it a couple of times. So just find a little thread on top first and then start weaving it through to there. Making sure you can't see the needle from the front. All right, I'll just pull that through like so. And we're going to do exactly the same, going through 2 of them, through the one, back the opposite direction, like so. Just making sure you go and see the needle. Just can't see the needle, of course. And then, once again, I don't know if that was out of frame, but it's pretty much the same as what we did with the other one. All right, so that's what you have so far. Your little stitch marker is there. Yes? I'm going to take mine out. You leave yours in because I want you to be able to know where you are in a minute. Yeah? All right, so let's pretend this doesn't exist and pretend you're working on this. This is exactly where this part here is right now, where your loop is. Making sure you're keeping everything on the right side. So you should have finished like that. Yeah? So grabbing your earring, we're going to start to attach now. So you've got your piece. That's the way I want you to start attaching. Oh, excuse me. No, that's not right there. Your little hook and I don't know what you want to call this little loop thing up the top. And you're going to start attaching roughly around there. There's no right measurement because we're going to adjust it as we go along. So grabbing your hook, I need to change the size of my hook. This part here, I need to do it in the normal size like you. So it might be a little bit tough to see it. I'll get as close as I can to help you out. But what you do is pop your hook in the loop, taking out your stitch marker. You don't need your earring there yet. Just take out your stitch marker. You will in a second. Tighten up your loop. We've chained one already. Pick up your loop. You're going to do a single crochet in the same stitch that you've chained one. But what you're going to do is pop your hook in the stitch like that. And then, I'm not that close, am I? And then you're going to go around your earring. So pop your hook under your earring. So your thread should be over the top, grabbing your thread, pulling it through and then pulling it through to the stitch that you are in like that. Tighten it up, real tight, really important. Not too tight, otherwise you can't get the thread through. Yarn over your hook, complete the stitch. That is a single crochet. Now don't leave it too high up here or it'll curl up, so just bring it down a little bit and we can sort that out later anyway. Yep. Now you've got your, remember your little chain 3 here? You're going to pop your hook around the chain 3, around your hoop, whatever you want to call it, the earring. Pull a loop through and through, holding it there, yarn over your hook, pull through both those loops on your hook. Yeah. Stop what you're doing with your piece and just work on the earring now. And you are going to do 5 single crochets over your earring only. So it's a bit tricky this set only. The next set will be better. But try to hold everything if you can. If you want to let go, at least hold the earring. Yeah. And you're just doing a single crochet around the earring only. 1. It is very tricky, this part of it. Yeah. 2, try to do them tighter. Once you do the stitch there 2, just tighten it up a little because we're not crocheting it after this. This is the last row, believe it or not, last round. 3, 4, and 5. Oh, if I can get it to come through. There you go. Tighten it up. Remember your chain 3? You're going to pop your hook through the chain 3 space, around your earring, pulling it through like so. Just tightening it up a little bit and then completing a single crochet. Now 5 single crochets across. It's going to start to get easier now. 1, 2, 3, nice and tight, yeah? 4 and 5. All right, so now you're going to pop your hook into the chain 3, around your earring and pulling it tight and doing your single crochet. Yeah, that's what you should be getting so far. Yep, 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again into your loop around your earring, single crochet. All right, so what I want you to do, because I don't want you to sit here and watch me do it, it's going to take forever. Pop your stitch marker in the very last chain 3 on your piece. All right, when you get to the stitch before, your piece will start to close up real tight. That's normal. Let it pull, let it tug, but really close in your stitch and make them tight. Yeah. All right. So go ahead and do 1, 2, and 3, and I will meet you back here once you're done. Don't forget to do your 5 single crochets before your chain 3. 5 single crochet around both. 5 single crochets, single crochet around both, 5 single crochets, single crochet around both, get to that part there, and I shall meet you there once you're done. Alright, so you're probably here and it's probably pulling. Make sure you are really tight. Now this is the stitch before your stitch marker stitch. Alright, so you still need to do another 5 single crochets if you haven't already done it. Just move your work over a little bit and do your 5 single crochets, trying to keep them as tight as possible. 1, 2, it's getting a little awkward here because you've got your little pin here, yeah? 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now what you've got left is this guy right here. That is all you have left. I will take out that stitch marker. It'll be a lot easier to work with without the stitch marker. And once again, all you're doing in the very last one is putting a single crochet in it, like that, around your earring, giving it a tug. Probably better to tug later once you've done your single crochet. Yeah, so just do your single crochet first and then tighten everything there, real tight. Yeah, and then you're pulling a loop through like that. Yeah, get your scissors, give your piece a cut. Make sure you've got a long tail to weave in. Really tighten that stitch up tight. Yeah, and what you have is that. Just adjust your piece a little bit like that, making sure you're moving things over like that, making sure you're trying to get, oh, sorry, I'll do it close up for you. If you found this one was too high up, just move it over a little bit and push everything down and move that up. And there you go. What you have is that. Oh, I'm trying to make it even. You want to make it as even as possible. Let me find the other one for you. All right, the other one is there. All right, so that's what you should have. We should have one ready. Now all you're going to do is flip your earring, grab your sewing, darning, weaving needle. You need to sew that last thread in. Very tricky thread, this one, because it is very, very, oh, look at that. Let me thread this off here. Give me 1 second. All right, that was a bit awkward. Sorry, guys. So it's a very tricky thread, this one. That's the right side of our work that we were working on. Make sure you're working on the back. Now, I said it's a very tricky end because, actually, you know what? Go to the front on the right side of your work. Yeah, so that's the right side. And your tail is here and your knot is right up there. Grabbing your needle and just passing it through the back to the back of your work, right? Pulling it through that way. And what it'll do, if you pull it too tight like mine, it'll turn a little bit. Don't do that. But you want to go down into the, let's get a close up. You want to go down into that stitch right there. Just do one for now so that you know where you're going. There. All right. And then you're going to grab your needle and just go through some stitches across. It will be tight. Yeah, but you need to weave this end in well or it will come undone. And you don't want that to come undone. Yeah, so there you go, nice and tight. I'm not happy. I'm going to go a little bit further in. Oh, very tight, isn't it? Then turn back around and go back up, but in a different section. So what you need to do is just split a bit of the yarn and then going back through again, but all in a different area. I mean, we'll just give that tight tug because it wasn't tight. And that's what I'm going to do. You can't see the needle, no? Oh, it's so tight. In fact, what I'm going to do is pull that through. I can't even get it through. Here we go. Pull it through and then give it a cut. All right. And when you've done that, just tug it all into place and it will actually hide in there so you won't see it. Turn your earring around. You now have one earring complete. Ta-da! So your job now is to head off on your own and do a second earring. It was a little tight, it was a little hard pulling at both ends and everything, but look how gorgeous they come out when you do it nice and tight. If it's too loose, or this is going to be loose, it's going to look a bit weird. This is just perfect now, all right? So go ahead and make one more earring. Again, if you want to be a part of our live, like the lovely Kim has chosen these beautiful colours here, if you want to be a part of our live, you need to join us on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time, where you as the subscriber gets to choose the colour combination of our very next tutorial. Thank you very much for joining us, and once again a special thank you to the lovely Kim for her colour combination. How gorgeous are these? I'm only sad that I don't have any holes in my ears for earrings. But anyway, enjoy your beautiful earrings, and thank you so much for joining us, and ciao for now.